This video is about how to determine the end behavior of graph of a polynomial function using the leading coefficient test or LCT. The end behavior of a graph of a polynomial function refers to the left end and the right end of a graph of a function. It tells us what happens to a function's output or the y values as the input or the x values becomes very large, either positively or negatively. It is essentially a way to describe a function's long-term behavior or trends. How to predict the end behavior of a function. Using the leading coefficient test to determine the end behavior of a polynomial function, we should remember the following. Number 1, identify the characteristic of the degree of the function, if it is an odd or an even. Second, then examine the sign of the leading coefficient, if it is either positive or negative. The end behavior has 4 cases. Let's start with case 1. Using the degree or the leading coefficient test, let's determine the characteristic of the degree and the leading coefficient. If the degree is an odd and the leading coefficient is positive, the end behavior of the graph is falls to the left and rises to the right. We can also say that the trend of the function is increasing. Case 2. If the degree is an odd and the leading coefficient is a negative, the left end rises and the right end falls. We can also say that the trend of the function is decreasing. Case 3. If the degree is even and the leading coefficient is positive, the left end rises and the right end also rises. The trend of the function is increasing. And the last case, case 4, if the degree of the function is even and the leading coefficient is negative, the left end of the graph falls and the right end of the graph falls too. We can also say that the trend of the function is decreasing. Always remember also that in determining the trend of the function, you start from the left end to the right end. Let's have examples. Describe the end behavior of f of x equals 2x raised to 4 minus 3x cubed minus 2x squared plus x minus 5. First, determine the leading term. In this example, the leading term is 2x raised to 4, and then the degree is 4. It is an even number, and the leading coefficient is 2, which is positive. The characteristic of the end behavior is even positive, therefore both ends rise or rises on both ends. We can also say that it rises to the left and also rises to the right. Next example, describe the end behavior of f of x equals x squared quantity x minus 1 times quantity x minus 5 raised to 4. So in this example, the function is in expanded or in factored form rather. So we need to simplify by just getting the leading term. The leading term is x raised to 7. That is x squared times x raised to 4. The degree is an odd and the leading coefficient is positive. Therefore, the end behavior falls to the left and rises to the right. Another example, describe the end behavior of f of x equals negative x raised to 50 minus 3x cubed minus 25. The leading term is negative x raised to 50. Degree is 50. It's uneven, and the leading coefficient is negative, which is negative 1. So it's even negative. Therefore, the end behavior falls on both ends, or falls to the left and falls to the right. Example number 4. Describe the end behavior of f of x equals negative 6x raised to 11 plus 9x raised to 8 plus 7x raised to 4 plus 2x. The leading term is negative 6x raised to 11. The degree is 11. It's an odd. And the leading coefficient is negative 6, which is negative. So it's an odd negative. Therefore, the end behavior is falls or rises rather to the left and falls to the right. Number 5. Sketch the end behavior of f of x equals 10 plus 4x minus 2x squared plus 5x raised to 4 minus x raised to 5. Again, determine the leading term, and that is negative 5 or negative x raised to 5. Degree is 5, it's an odd, and the leading coefficient is negative. So it's an odd negative. The sketch of the end behavior is like this. Rises to the left and falls to the right. Next one, again, sketch the end behavior of f of x equals quantity of 2x squared minus 3 times quantity of x plus 4 times the quantity of negative x cubed. Simplify by multiplying the leading term of all the binomial and the monomial. That is 2x squared times x times negative x cubed, which is negative 2x raised to 6. So it's an even negative. Therefore, the sketch of the EB or the end behavior is falls to the left and also falls to the right. Next example, describe the end or the trend of f of x equals negative 3 plus 4x minus 6x cubed plus 8x raised to 5 minus 3x raised to 9. Determine the leading term first. In this example, it's negative 3x raised to 9. So it's an odd negative. Therefore, the trend is decreasing because the characteristic of the end behavior falls to the right and rises to the left. Therefore, the trend is decreasing. Number 8, the trend of f of x equals 5x raised to 13th minus x raised to 7 minus 7x raised to 5 minus 3x. The leading term is 5x raised to 13th. It's an odd positive. Therefore, the trend is increasing because it falls to the left and rises to the right.